Hey everyone, it's Smarty Pants Chess here once again, and today we're going to look at another game between Leelenstein and Leela Chess 0. And now this is actually the reverse fixture of yesterday's game between the two, with exactly the same opening, but this time Leelenstein is playing with the white pieces and Leela Chess 0 is playing with the black pieces. And again, this is the CCC11 semi-finals with 30 minutes on the clock each with a 5-second increment, and the opening here is actually the Austrian attack as we saw yesterday. So it's d4 e6, e4 d6, and knight c3, bishop g7, white plays f4, dominating the centre, knight c6, bishop e3, knight to f6, knight to f3, castles, and queen d2, e6, castles queenside for white, and this is the end of the book. So from here on in, both computers are using their own moves. But interestingly enough, we have an exact repeat of yesterday's game. So black again opts for knight to e7, white drops their bishop back to f2 again. So the reasoning behind this is if black goes knight to g4, white will just play bishop h4 and play h3 and g4 with tempo. So after bishop f2, Leela played b6, and after white goes e5, again we've got repeat of the game exactly. So black goes knight to d5, white doesn't want to capture, and black goes in for f5, hitting the knight on e4. This forces white to en passant. This is what white should do to deconstruct black's centre, and after knight takes, bishop takes, white goes in for this bishop c4 again. So Leelenstein is now attacking the e6 pawn, stops black moving this bishop away. So queen d7 is played, white goes in for d5, and black sets up the trap that Leelenstein did yesterday with a5. So it prepares b5 and a4, trying to trap the bishop on c4. So white goes a3, black goes b5, hitting the bishop, and there's an intermezzo with d takes e6. So once again white wins a pawn in this rather weird opening. Queen e8 is played, the bishop drops back, Leela plays bishop to b7, and Leelenstein goes in again for h4. And this is the exact position from the reverse fixture still. And after a4, bishop a2, black goes in for this b4 idea, trying to open the queen side. Leelenstein counteracts this with h5, attacking the other side of the board, and after b takes, g takes h5. Again, after 22 moves, we're still in the same position as the reverse fixture. But here actually there is a difference. So in the reverse here, Leela actually now played bishop to d4 in her game, and Leelenstein here played rook to h3. So Stockfish actually believes that bishop to d4 is actually a better move. And I'll just go through the game in the reverse fixture quickly to reignite your memory. So after bishop g4, there was queen g6, knight to g5, bishop takes, rook f5, and rook h3. So we did see this move. And then there was h6. Leela played the impressive g4. Rook takes g5 was played, g takes h5, queen f5. After a few complications, we ended up in this position where it seems as though white is actually winning because he played rook g1. The bishop has to block it, and then we had this amazing move c3, preparing bishop to b1. Play continued, rook f8, bishop b1, queen g5, king b2, rook b8 check, king a1, and black took this bishop off. The rook took, and after king h7, white again pins this bishop. After knight to f5, white starts harassing the pieces, and then knight to e3 harasses this knight with 2 pieces. After e7, white cleans up with this impressive finish with rook e6, knight g6, rook takes and takes the queen, and king takes g5. And Leela won that position from there. So back to our game now, where Leelenstein is white, Leela is black. And Leelenstein actually didn't play bishop d4 here, they actually played rook h3. And this is a rather flexible move because it prepares rook d to h1 perhaps, and maybe even knight to g5. And it just keeps this rook really flexible on this third rank to defend any of black's attacking attempts. So I think actually white is preparing to play a move like rook to g3. So for this reason Leela played bishop to e4. This is because if Leelenstein plays check now, black can drop back to g6, and I think white should actually continue with bishop to d4. I went through one variation. It actually really favours white, because after rook to b8, white can play a move like f5. The point is that this bishop points at this king, and we always have this e7 check idea. But we can tell this is a computer variation, because the next move for black is queen to b5, harassing white's king. After f takes g6, there's queen b2, bishop takes b2, king to b1, and then black's got this bishop c3 check move from the rook. And after bishop to b3, black takes the queen, as g takes h7, king takes, and knight takes d2. After black takes on b3 and c takes b3, we're into an endgame where white has emerged a pawn up. So I think white has the advantage here, but still has a bit of work to do to defend the c6 pawn, but definitely white has an edge. So all that occurred after rook to g3. So maybe white could have gone in for that if they wished. But in the game, Leelenstein played knight to g5, attacking the bishop on e4. So Leela captured this knight, white recaptured, and Leela played queen to b5. So getting the queen into a very dynamic position. And I think black's plan is to actually try and cut off this a2 bishop with a move like bishop to d5 at some point. Leelenstein played rook h4, attacking the bishop. And again, black has numerous options here. So bishop g6 is one option, but actually I think it favours white, because then bishop to d4 is truly devastating for black's position, because white can play moves like bishop f6 and start harassing the e7 knight and use the bishop on a2 against the king. For this reason, Leela played bishop to d5. So trying to trade white's most powerful bishop for their white squared bishop. So Leelenstein played a clever move with c4, attacking both the queen and the bishop at the same time. Obviously Leela isn't that stupid though, she played queen c6 to pin the pawn. And actually here I think Leelenstein actually missed a really good move, according to Stockfish. Bishop d4 was actually a better move than what was played in the game. This is the best move, bishop d4, because after bishop takes e6, white can play rook e1, attacking the bishop. After bishop takes c4, white should play bishop to c3. The point is, after bishop takes a2, white can play queen d4 and threaten queen to g7 or queen to h8. So if knight to f5 in this position, this leads to mate with queen h8, king f7, queen takes h7, and there's nowhere for black to go apart from blocking it, and queen takes g7 is mate. So after queen to d4, black is forced to capture this bishop on c3, and after queen takes c3, knight g6, rook to d4, white's got a queen for 2 pieces and a pawn, and definitely this would favour an endgame for white. So I think in this position, bishop to d4 was the best move, but Leelenstein's move was adequate enough. They played queen to e2, so defends c4, defends e6, and now the rook is attacking the bishop on d5. And white still has this enormous nice bishop on a2 if the knight ever jumps off e7. So I really like white's position. Here Leela actually played bishop to e4, so I think she thought this was a draw. I used the engine with this move, and Stockfish actually thought this was a draw as well due to perpetual check for a long time, until it finally realised it wasn't. So I think this is what happened to Leela in this game. This is because after rook takes e4 was played, black played rook takes f2, diverting the queen away, so queen takes f2, and now black played queen takes e4. This is all fair enough because we've still got equal material. But after queen f7 check, king h8, white wins a knight with queen takes e7. So here, actually, the engines all thought this was a draw for black until you actually play through the position and it suddenly jumps up to a win for white. So black checks and white blocks. Black checks again, and after a series of checks, queen e5 and king to d3, and there was a check again. After several moves, we get to this position with king to e2. Black could continue checking with queen to e4, but after king to d1, queen g4 and king c1, there's no more checks, and white is just a bishop up. Back to the game though, black played rook to f8 instead. White tries to hide away with king to d1. There are a series of checks again with queen f1, king c2, and Leela plays queen to f4. Now white just gets their rook behind the pawn though, rook e2, and after Queen F5 check again, King C3. There are 3 more checks. White's got to be a bit careful. And after Queen A5 again, King D3, Queen F5. Again, White's just manoeuvring their king away. And here in this position, again, Black could opt to check, but eventually White will hide away on G1. So Leela here took the rook off on E2, and Leelenstein played Queen to F6 check. King G8 is forced, Queen F7, King H8, and Leelenstein played E7, and they've just sacrificed a rook to get a queen on E8. And the reason why E7 is so good once again is because this bishop on A2 is an absolute monster. White's idea is to play Queen F6 check, and then they can play a move like C5 to unleash their bishop and checkmate Black. So even if Queen takes A2 in this position, White can play Queen F8 with check. After Rook takes the Queen, White will just play E takes and get Queen, and that's checkmate. Rook G8 also doesn't work because then White can play C5 and unleash the bishop again. So after E7, Leela plays with check with Queen E5, the king moves again and takes on G5. This allows White to get a queen though. After Rook takes, Queen takes, Queen D7, King F8, and now C5. White's threatening Queen F7 because now the bishop has just been unleashed. Black tries desperately to check the king once again, but after a series of moves, Queen F3 defends Queen F7, but then Leelenstein is in full control in this position because after King G7, Queen G5, King F8, Bishop to D5. I really like this move. It's very dynamic. Attacks the Queen on F3. After Queen F1, there's King H4, and suddenly this Bishop protects C4 square and the H1 square from any potential checks from Black. Black plays H6 and Leelenstein just takes with check, King E8, Queen E6, and shuts off any play from Black. Leela plays Queen F2, but White just takes on H5, there's Queen H2 check, King G4, and Black goes back to F2 to defend the F7 square. Leelenstein puts their king in a very safe position, and eventually after Queen E7 there's King H8, Queen G5 now threatening Queen to G8, King H7, Leelenstein plays Bishop to E4 check, King H8 is forced, and we're getting to this position where White now plays Bishop to D5, and this forces Black to finally give up the Queen with Queen F7 to block the check, and Leelenstein finishes off Leela very quickly with Queen G6, King F8, Queen takes F7, and that's checkmate. So I thought this game was interesting because both sides won this position as White, so I definitely think it's worth learning against the perk defense. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to be able to cover the finals very soon between Leela and Stockfish. If you haven't already, please drop a like, subscribe and comment if you think I missed anything, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.